Karen Heather.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is our third episode. Yay! We're doing pretty good.
Yeah, right. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, we're chugging along.
We're on the third one.
We're on the third one.
Trying to, you said every week? Every week.
Every week.
Okay.
Yeah, that's... We're
do
doing
our
it.
best.
We're doing it. Doing this. This
Whatever
production.
this is.
So, this week's episode is about an outlaw.
Outlaw?
An outlaw.
Like our friend? Brandis?
Not our friend Brandis, although we do love you. And she is pretty amazing and famous.
She is. In our hearts. And in the future.
In the future. We love you, girl. No, this is Jesse James.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, you've heard of Jesse James?
I have.
Yeah.
My brother mentioned that he was possibly related to him. Distant relation. Cousins. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
On his mom's side. So.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I wouldn't want to be related, but, I mean, famous person, you claim who you want to be related to.
Yeah, that's how I think most people are. Like, oh, I'm related to this person. And we're like, are you fancy?
It's like, I see, girl, I see.
Well,
Okay.
let me learn about Jesse James.
Let's learn about Jesse James, shall we? So, mostly everyone knows the name Jesse James, especially if you're from Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Missouri, obviously, guys. Most believe that Jesse James was an old Western Robin Hood.
Okay, I was wondering if he was more Robin Hoodie.
But was he?
I don't know. You were going to tell me.
I'm teaching you.
Yeah, you are.
So, Jesse Woodson James was born in Kearney, Missouri in September 1847 to Zerelda Cole James and Robert James. He was a Baptist minister, and he was also a co-founder of William Joe College in Liberty, Missouri. Fun fact, well, facts. He farmed commercial hemp in Kentucky before moving to Missouri.
Okay, we're talking about more.
So
more pot.
It's commercial hemp. It's even in quotes in a lot of sources that I found. It's a commercial hemp.
Recreational.
It was recreational. So like the government obviously put a ban on it, like in the 1900s, something like that. Like most things, like around the alcohol time, they put a ban on it. Government ruins everything. You can't have this stuff. So Mr. James also owned slaves. Kentucky. It's, unfortunately this is Civil War times, guys. It's 1847-ish, 50s. He died when Jesse was only 3 years old.
Oh.
Yeah.
No daddy.
No daddy. James and his brother Frank joined pro-Confederate guerrilla warfare during the Civil War in America. Frank fought in the Battle of Wilson Creek in August 1861. However, he fell really sick, and they're like, you need to go home and recover. It's about 2 years later, so that's 61. This is 1863. He was identified as a member of that guerrilla group that did the slaughtering at the battle.
Oh.
Yeah. Union militia group raided his family farm looking for Frank, trying to find him. They were hiding him because, they didn't want their son, The militia ended up torturing their stepfather by briefly hanging him from a tree. So, like, they're trying to get information, and they're like, oh, we're going to hang you from a tree. And, like, it was basically pulling him up and down a tree, hanging him.
I'm sure there's other ways.
There's other
to
ways.
Do that.
Like, you don't have to torture people.
No, just be like, hey, where is he?
You're right. It's also said that Jesse was lashed.
Ow.
So, after the torture, the James's brothers, rightfully angry, joined Quantrell Raiders, who committed crimes against the Union soldiers and civilian abolitionists, including the Centralia Massacre in 1864, which killed 24 unarmed Union soldiers. Yeah, it was bad. So, like, Kansas was not yet a state, and the Quantrell Riders would go from Missouri, which was a slave state, to the free territory area of Kansas, going back and forth, raiding and destroying towns. Not really towns, but people who wanted to keep it, who went, because it was about to become a state.
Yeah.
So they were trying to be like, it needs to be a slave state. That's not how it worked in the time. So the state before it, that's how they decided if the next state was a free state or a slave state.
So Missouri was a slave state, so then Kansas would become
a free state. Yeah. So that's how they decided. I know, super weird. But
I guess, equality.
I guess. I think they were saying this would be a free one. That this is a north, this is a south. So, like, especially since we were in the Midwest,
we're just
like, you're in the middle. You can't really say, oh, no, I'm going to side over here even though I'm up here. 17, James suffered from a bullet wound. Multiple bullet wounds, actually. Not just one. It was multiple. When he ran into a Union cavalry patrol. So I'm kind of like, he's 17. There's not really pictures of these kiddos or people that are in this Quantrell Raiders, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how they identified him. He was, he's 17, right? So he was healed and attended at his uncle's boarding house in Harlem, Missouri. He was healed by his cousin Zerelda Mim, often called Z. Okay. So they had a 9-year courtship before finally marrying. So, like, he's like, oh, hey, cuz, what's going on, Z? Like your name.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. Not only did he marry his first cousin, because it was his first cousin, which they did back then, which is creepy. I mean, if you love who you love, I guess. But, so he not only married his first cousin, he married the woman that was named after his mother.
He married his mother.
Mommy. He's got mommy issues. They had 4 children together total.
Okay.
Only 2 survived till adulthood. 'Tis the time.
Yeah.
Right? Surprisingly, Jesse James Jr. became a lawyer who practiced in Kansas City and Los Angeles.
Good for him.
Right? His daddy was an outlaw, but he was a lawyer. The brothers most likely did the first daylight armed bank robbery in the U.S. during peace times.
Oh, fancy.
And it's somewhere close.
Where?
Right?
Where is it, Karen?
Clay County Savings Association in Liberty, Missouri.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
And
think there's a plaque somewhere.
it's like literally down by the triangle.
Okay.
Okay, so that was on February 13th, 1866. When trying to escape, a William Jewell College student named George C. Jolly Wymore was shot and killed in the streets. All accounts saying that he was just an innocent bystander.
Aww.
He was basically like, what's going on? I'm going to walk from campus and see what's going on around here.
What's this ruckus?
Why is there people out?
Yeah, I'm
going
jolly.
on? I'm jolly. How y'all doing? And then he was shot and killed. So innocent bystander, completely.
Poor Jolly.
Poor Jolly. After the war, the James brothers were in various number of different gangs.
Okay.
But the most famous one is their own gang. The James Younger gang.
Okay.
And I bet you're thinking, like, younger. No. So
I look younger.
So younger, they called it that because the 2 James brothers plus the 3 younger brothers. Not their younger brothers. Their last name was Younger.
Cute.
And there was 3 of them. They have names.
We don't care about them.
This ain't about them.
They're not worth it. They're not Jesse James.
We'll go. We're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
The gang mostly robbed banks and stagecoaches, even a fair in Kansas City.
Oh.
Yeah, festival. It's like, ooh.
Big event.
It was a big event. It was a big event. So they mostly did this in front of crowds. They wanted a huge audience, and they would play it up for him, being really dramatic and being really theatric about it. Like, I kind of want to see what they would have done, but I'm just imagining them. But look, hey little lady,
I'm gonna go rob you.
I'm gonna rob you. Give me all your jewels. Like I'm picturing like Clint Eastwood, or like John Wayne.
Yes.
Like,
with a hat.
Yeah, but like big swagger. Yeah, like big swagger.
So they like the attention.
They love the attention.
It would be great in the movies.
So because of them doing this to the crowds, it gained them national attention and fame. More often than not, gave them sympathy for their crimes. People wanted them to escape. They're like, yes, you're robbing things, run away, Don't get caught,
I mean, it's good entertainment.
They didn't have entertainment back then. Like, they would watch hangings.
Yeah.
Right?
Beheadings, yeah.
They would watch murder.
Yes. Fun times.
Yeah. So, I mean, to watch someone rob a bank, I suppose, and then run away.
I think that would be fun to watch, as long as I'm, like, not
safe, because obviously it wasn't safe for Jolly.
Popcorn, like,
It's like a movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm watching a Western here. I don't really like Westerns, but, you know.
Tombstone, greatest Western ever.
I only watched the end of it with you, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing.
Tombstone, great. Love it.
Yeah, I'm not a Western person.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
Maybe, like, Rango was the only one. Rango. There's probably another one. Wait, the Bible Goes West.
Oh my gosh. It's not a Western.
Yes, it is! American Tail, Bible Goes West? It's a Western. There are tumbleweeds, damn it.
Okay. In July 1873, the James Younger gang decided to give train robbery a go.
How did that go, Karen?
Well, they derailed a train west of Adair, Iowa, and stole $3,000, which, I added this up, right? It's $64,000 today.
That's a good amount.
That's a good amount. That's cha-ching.
I would like that.
Yeah, I would. And just in a day's work.
Yeah.
Right?
Just, cause some ruckus and get paid thousands of dollars. That's the dream.
Right? That's a good dream.
Yeah.
During this robbery, this is the only noted time that they did it, but they wore a KKK mask, which was considered a statement against President Grant. Because President Grant actually just enforced the Enforcement Acts, which protected African Americans in order for them to vote and run for public office and serve on juries and have equal protection of the laws.
Okay. I still don't understand what the mask means.
So, like, they were protesting him. So
they weren't for it, right?
Yeah, they didn't want, because they were racist. Didn't like that he said this. That President Grant's like, hey, you gotta be nice. You can't, we're gonna protect African Americans. And they're like, screw you, we're gonna wear these KKK masks.
I don't think that act really helped.
I don't think it did either.
It took a while at least, but it didn't help right away.
A while, but yeah.
Okay.
After their first train robbery, they decided to do a lighter touch.
Okay.
Which means they stopped holding up passenger trains. They only did it twice. So the first time, and then one more time. They chose to take contents from the baggage cars and other non-passenger trains. Which I completely understand. I wouldn't want to, deal with people.
No, people
suck. A journalist noted this and basically gave Jesse James a kind of Robin Hood status. But that's not true. Obviously, he's wildly racist. And he also only passed out money to their own people, and to their family, to their friends, to their group. They didn't take from the rich and give to the poor.
Yeah.
None of that stuff ever happened. It was just because they didn't want to deal with people, which, I can definitely see. Like, there's crying children, men and women on the train. Yes, men are crying. Although, they liked being dramatic, so I don't see why they wouldn't hold up more trains.
You would think they would be, like, shocked.
Because they wanted more notoriety. Yeah. But I guess hassle.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with all the crowds and, like, holding them up.
Right. And be like, oh, I'm being robbed by Jesse James. Can I take your picture? It'll take 30 minutes,
Yeah.
I don't think they could do that.
No.
Right?
Hassle.
It was a hassle. So they stopped doing it. The James Younger gang was most active between 1866 and 1876. A good 10 years. They were active before and after, but that was the most active time. So where they had the most money. It's rumored over $1 million that they gathered. So, I mean, a lot of money that they robbed. The Pickerton National Detective Agency, which it was a private security and a detective agency. Have you heard of it? It's quite famous. They would send them, the Pickerton agents to go capture people. It was almost like Texas Ranger. Okay, but throughout the whole United States. They were hired to obviously capture the gang. Due to the gang's Confederate connections, however, they eluded the Pickertons a long time. Like, the entire time, they pretty much eluded them. Pickertons never caught them. It wasn't the Pickertons that caught any of them. Many Pickerton agents actually ended up dying and getting killed and shot, or bodies never found.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because of this, the founder, Alan Pickerton, was furious. Rightfully so, as people are dying.
Yeah.
When they're trying to catch this gang. So he had a personal vendetta against the James Younger gang. In January 1875, the Pickertons raided James's mother's farm.
Oh.
And ended up killing his younger half-brother.
Oh.
And blowing the arm off of his mother. It's not said what exactly it was. It just says they threw an exploding device into the house, trying to get everyone out of the house.
Oh.
So I don't know if it was intentional and they knew if it would cause that much damage. Ended up killing people, blowing off a woman's arm. It was bad.
Yeah. Poor mom.
Poor mom. Mom's now only has one arm. So I wish I had more on the Pickertons. It's just Pickertons obviously never caught them. And there was more stuff that he did trying to catch them, but it's not as big as, exploding his mother's arm off.
That's a big point.
That's a big point.
Yeah.
In September 1876, the gang attempted to rob First National Bank of Northfield, Michigan. The bank cashier refused to open the safe, claiming it was secured by a time lock.
Okay.
It really wasn't. He was just saying, no, I can't get into it. I'm trying to save the money. You can't. The cashier at one point had a Bowie knife to his throat, and then he was repeatedly cracked in the skull with the butt of a pistol, trying to get him to open it. Because they're like, you're lying. It has a key. I feel like you could tell if it had a time lock on it or not, especially in that time period. They actually ended up shooting and killing the cashier for still refusing to open the safe. Another cashier was wounded in the shoulder for trying to run out of the bank.
Okay.
Which, samesies. I would run out of the bank if I saw armed men coming in.
I don't know. I'd probably try to sneak out or hide.
I'd be like, 5 inches! I would push people out of the way.
Bye, Karen.
Bye! I'll get help! Help!
Bam.
Yeah, that's how I got shot.
Zigzag. Remember, the zigzag.
You gotta zig and zag.
Zigzag.
You gotta zig and zag. People of Northfield were growing super suspicious of the men standing outside of the bank and not letting anyone in or out. They're like, what's going on over here? Excuse me. Hello. But it gathered a really big crowd.
Okay. Nosy people.
They were nosy. They were curious about what was going in their town. The gang members shot in the air trying to clear the streets because it was that crowded, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Citizens ended up firing back.
Okay.
And the gang members actually had to duck for cover to get away from the bullets. Because so it was basically, they're like, oh shit, they fired on us, we're going to shoot at you.
So, those small towns, they carry guns?
They carry guns. They still do.
They don't care who you are.
Right? They're like, oh, you shot at me, I will shoot at you.
Sassy little people.
They were sassy. So the citizens actually ended up killing 2 of the members of the gang.
Oh, wow.
The rest of the gang ended up escaping. I believe one of the men that died was one of the younger brothers.
We don't care which one, though.
It was one of
them.
One of the brothers younger. The James brothers continued to operate and recruit new members of the gang for several years following. It was just deteriorating. People were like, I don't want to do this anymore. People dying. I have money. Getting old. However, by 1881, the James Younger gang was pretty much just reduced to the James brothers. So it was the James gang. Just the James gang. At this time period, they kind of retired. They were like, I'm gonna hang up my gun and my spurs. So they were either in Kentucky or Tennessee. It was eastern of Missouri that they were at, but people knew it was them. Their pictures were, award posters were everywhere. They had little book novelettes.
Oh, cute.
That had their tales. It wasn't real tales. It was made up stories that. Yeah, so Young Guns. Did you watch Young Guns? Another great Western.
I don't think I did.
Oh my god, good one. But that's sort of based off of Jesse James-ish. It's not really. The tales, the Billy the Kid.
Wasn't Brad Pitt in Assassination of Jesse James or something?
I think you are right.
It just came to me. Like,
yeah.
Brad.
He was in that.
He's from Missouri.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie forever.
I haven't seen it.
I should have watched that movie. Anyway, so they're retiring, but see, these people kind of knew it was them because of the little books that they have, of the, posters and pictures that they had. They're like, oh, that looks like them. So they decided to go back to Missouri.
Where no one cares.
Right.
Like,
well, they have connections. They're kind of just like, hey, in Missouri, you do you, we do us.
They have agreement.
There's an agreement. So Jesse went back to his wife, who was at their home in St. Joseph, Missouri, which is really close to Kearney, so he's by his mom still. A new recruit named Robert Ford ended up shooting and killing Jesse James on April 3rd, 1882, in his home in St. Joseph at the age of 34.
So young.
He was young. All of these things he did.
Yeah, all the stuff he did, like...
Yeah, he was young. He was young. He was a baby.
Do you think he was 60 when he died?
That's only 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
I don't want to die at 34, guys.
No.
Ford said that he believed Jesse knew he was about to be betrayed. Jesse ended up taking his guns out of the holsters, laying them on the couch, saying a picture needed to be fixed across the room, right? Okay. Stood on the chair, looked at Ford in the eyes, and then turned his head to fix the picture. There's actually an image of it. Like, that was put in a newspaper based on this.
So it was just a sketch?
It was just a sketch. Okay. It's not someone's like, oh, I'm going to take a picture every time Jesse James died. It's not how it works. Not that
Stay still. Pose.
Something interesting is going to happen.
Now you can shoot.
Ford ended up shooting him in the back of the head. And killing him instantly. Ford hoped that he would collect the reward that was on James's head, which a good sum. It was like $10,000.
That's a good sum.
It's a good sum back then. Like, that's a lot of money. And he also hoped he would have amnesty from his previous crimes. Okay. Because he was a noted, not bank robber, but he, like, stagecoach robber.
Yeah,
he stole.
Yeah.
And he did things.
Held people up in the stagecoach.
It said that the governor him and the governor talked before he joined the gang.
Oh.
Yeah. And he had his brother with him, too. So Ford ended up wiring the governor to tell him about this. Within minutes, the police came on the scene. Someone called them. They're like, what the hell happened? You shot Jesse. So they ended up arresting Ford and his brother. Okay. And charged them with first-degree murder. They even said that they did it so they could get the award money. They're like, yeah, I shot him. It was me. Okay. So like they confessed. In a course of one day, okay, they were indicted. They pled guilty, sentenced to death by hanging. Okay. Right? And then were fully pardoned by the governor.
That was a long day.
Long day. Eventful day.
Yeah, very eventful. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
I feel like that takes longer process. But no, they got it all done in a day. That'd been funny if it was an hour.
Just like, okay, let's go.
All right, go home.
Time for dinner.
Yummy. James's mother had his tombstone read, "In loving memory of my beloved son, murdered by a traitor and a coward whose name is not worthy to appear here."
Okay, Mom.
Right? I kind of like it, but at the same time, I'm just like, oh.
Mama's pissed.
She pissed. I'm wondering if Mom would have gone out with her one arm and shot him.
Yeah,
I bet she would have tracked him down.
Oh, yes.
There were numerous rumors that James ended up surviving, including the most famous guy whose name was J. Frank Dalton. This was in the 50s. However, his story didn't match up to the questioning of James's family members. So Jesse James Jr. basically is like, he could be my dad. Yeah. It looks like my dad if my dad, ended up surviving past the age 34. And but the facts that Dalton, is that what I said? Yeah, Dalton was saying didn't match up to any of the, like, that didn't happen. Yeah. And so.
No. Not you. No.
So Jesse's dead.
Okay. Well, he had a very eventful life.
For a very young but eventful life.
Yeah. So, question.
Answer.
Frank.
What about Frank?
Why isn't he not as popular or well known.
So Jesse played more into the theatrics than Frank did, for sure.
Okay.
But he also, like, after Jesse was shot and killed, the award that was on Frank's head, because he had one too, it was cleared, basically. They're like, well, we got one brother. That's good enough for us. Frank ended up becoming a minister, and I think he also taught some classes at Williamsville College.
Okay, you go, Frank. Educating people.
He does his thing.
Did people try to, like, steal his body or something? Jesse James? Or,
Yeah, no. His body was actually trying to be stolen a few times, and they tried to steal pieces of his body. So they tried to steal his trigger finger a few times. It was actually said that it was an auction once or twice before, and people bid. Thank you. They bid on it. They really wanted it. I feel like it's like that with a lot of famous people. If I remember correctly, part of the house that Jesse James was shot at, his home, is actually now part of Patey Hall, which is a clinic in St. Joseph, like a free health clinic.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know, that's interesting. And like they have museums all over. Like there's one in Liberty, down in historic Liberty. There's a museum there. I think it's actually a bank. That's kind of funny. Like it's a
it's
bank
ironic.
museum.
We should go visit it.
We should.
We don't get out much anymore.
COVID.
I know. Anything else?
No, that was Jesse James. Thank you for being on this ride of the magical world of outlaws.
Outlaws. Jesse James, Wild Wild West. He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
Questionable.
Questionable on many things.
Yeah, but...
very adventurous life.
Yeah.
Very adventurous.
That is true. Well, thank you for watching.
Thanks,
Hope you
guys.
enjoyed.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.